Again, welcome to the Wisconsin Tableau User Group, our first meeting of the year. We've got a great lineup for today. So I guess first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Brandy Beals. I help to lead the Wisconsin Tableau User Group along with Patrick, but I also lead the Milwaukee Tableau User Group. And Patrick helps to lead the Madison Tableau User Group. So, we've got this big Wisconsin family here. So welcome. It's really good to have everybody. The agenda for the day. So we're obviously in our kind of kickoff component here, and shortly we're going to do an audience profile. So we want to get to know a little bit more about you. And then we're going to do a tour of Wisconsin. We're going to hear from a bunch of different folks from around the state and how they use Tableau. And then we're going to wrap up the meeting just talking briefly about the TUG or Tableau User Group Roadmap. So as I mentioned, this is the Wisconsin Tableau User Group, but we also have Milwaukee and Madison, and the three groups have kind of gotten together and talked about like what should the plan be for the year, especially as we're virtual. And anyway, so we're going to go through all of that. And then we are doing something called New Year, New Skills. And it's a quiz that Tableau has that we're going to take together, and we'll talk about the exciting reason why. And then as we do every meeting, we give away some swags. We're actually going to be giving away 2 gift cards to the Tableau swag store. So you can use it for socks or t-shirts or books or water bottles or whatever you want. And so you actually are going to be entered to win that by asking questions in the Q&A panel, which unfortunately is different than the chat panel. So if you found the chat panel, the default for the chat panel is going to be to send a message to all panelists. You could certainly do that, but share the love and send that message to all panelists and attendees. That's it for chat. That's just to say hey and what's up and roast me. Okay. There's a separate panel called Q&A, and that's actually where you can enter questions for the panelists that you're going to hear from today, or myself or Patrick or any of the other leaders. So make sure that you find that Q&A panel as well, because that's how we're going to pick the winner for the giveaway. So hopefully there's no questions, but that's the agenda for today. So we're going to kick it off with our audience profile. So if you've come to one of our meetings before, you should recognize this. It's a really, really awesome link that you get to see. But basically, you're going to go to this link, and I'm going to post it in the chat. Stand by.
Do you have that handy, Brandy?
I'm posting the link in the chat right now. And so you can certainly click on that, or you can take your iPhone or your phone, and if you open up the camera and you point it at the QR code, you usually get a banner right at the top. Your camera recognizes and can read that QR code. You get a banner at the top and you can click that. And so when you click that, you should be taken to a screen where you see, it should say stay tuned, the poll hasn't opened yet. But I'll give everybody just a few seconds to get out their phones or find that awesome link in the chat. And it should be the same as this beautiful thing right here. And I'm just going to give everybody a second, and then Josh is going to tell me to kick it off. All right.
Ready?
Can I get started, Josh?
Yep. I think we should start it. Yep.
Cool.
It's pretty quick, so people are used to this. All right. So we have a bit of a theme, right? We're going around Wisconsin. There's a tour of Wisconsin, as Brandy mentioned. So this one's pretty straightforward. Where are you joining us from? We have a lot of people who come from the 2 primary metropolitan locations, but we know we have a lot of people who come from outside of it, and we're really excited about that and really want to emphasize to see where everybody's coming from. And I was really interested to see how many other outside of states there were. I maybe should have broke that out, because I'd be curious about the outside of states. If we got someone coming from Oregon or California or Florida or something like that. Probably not, but it'd be cool. This is a fun mix. A lot of Madison, Milwaukee, and I kind of bucketed everybody there. Some Green Bay, Fox Valley, La Crosse, So it's good. It's good to see a mix. This will be really exciting. That as this continues to grow and we continue to have folks from different areas of Wisconsin be involved in the group. So really excited on that. All right, let's jump to the next one, Brandy. Okay, it's a new year. We all know that. We're all excited about that. What are your Tableau New Year resolutions? So we've got a variety here: building your first visual, get your company to finally embrace the #DataFam, get certified or your next certification, connect more with the community. You're doing a great job here. Or drop that last 20 gigabytes of TDEs from the server. We all know we have QA or test or just like, yeah, I'll take care of that, but who's got that New Year resolution? A lot of get certified. That's good. Might have something in today's session around that.
I like to see the connect more with the community.
I think everybody's looking for ways of connecting these days. That's really good. So hopefully we're doing a good job of facilitating that. If you guys have thoughts and if we can do more, we want to do more, right? So give us that feedback. Cool. Next, are you aware of the Wisconsin TUG Community Book Club? So we've been doing Nate Silver's the noise and the signal and the noise. It's been fantastic. I've participated when able, and I've had a really good experience with that. And it's been pretty, Brandy's been doing a really good job leading that. We use breakout sessions in there, so you've got a smaller community where everybody gets to participate or listen, right? I mean, it's pretty low key too. So you may hear my daughter in the background. She's my backup in case something happens. So cool. All right. If you want more information on that or you don't know where to go, just reach out to us on Slack afterwards in chat, something like that. So have you heard of this? It's pretty straightforward. So Tableau has a New Year's New Skills. We're going to put a plug for it, go over that. So I'm glad that there's a lot of interest and that you haven't heard about it because we get to share something new with you guys. Cool. All right, Brandy. So, and this one's always a good one, just as, we got a bunch of people across the state and maybe outside of state. So how long you been working with Tableau? So are you the first year in and you're ready to get good on it? Are you owning Tableau at your company, or the go-to person? This is always a fun one for us to see. I love when we get a ton of new people. That's really good.
When I was reviewing this, I was like, I feel like he spelled get good wrong. And then I realized that you meant to spell it that way. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes my humor goes off and sometimes it doesn't, but cool. Welcome.
I thought it was perfect.
Glad to see all the new people here. 1 to 3 years, you're hitting the stride. First years too, the community. So part of the community is just bring a lot of questions, connect, reach out, ask for help. It's free consulting, right? You use it. I have a lot. So, all right. Here's a fun one. Quarantine trend. No, I guess the people with the Zoom casual, do you got like the whole like shirt and tie on, and then you've got like yoga pants below, or are we just all cool with like wearing hoodies nowadays and like not having to really do that? So I'm curious.
Data zip ups.
Data
right?
zip ups.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, I love it. I get called everybody on my team when they see me put this one on. They're like, "You're such a nerd," and I'm like, "Yes, I am." Nice. Yeah, slippers are cool too. My toes get cold and like I love those. Zuckerberg casual. Awesome.
Sorry, Josh, I skipped ahead.
No. Go. There was just some good dialogue in the chat that I was just reading
yeah.
on the side. So yeah, it's good. If you select
I love that you only give them 2 options.
Yep, of course. If you select get right on that, you're gonna get right on that, right? Yeah. So. Yeah, but in all sincerity, I mean, we're driving across the whole state, all of the different metropolitan areas into a single point of Slack to really continue that community building out. So. Cool.
And that's
Right.
as Brandy was mentioning earlier, before we got started, that's consolidated Slack workspace then is an opportunity to have separate, more local channels within that workspace where people can connect.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'm going to later on, I'll post some links in the chat for you to connect with us. So, but thank you so much for taking the polling. It's great to learn about everybody. We're going to move on now to the main show, which is our tour of Wisconsin.
Yeah, so today we wanted to, since this is the Wisconsin virtual TUG, we wanted to give you an opportunity to meet some people from around the state. So we've got 3 different organizations. Today we're going to start up in Eau Claire, and then we're going to head down and check out the La Crosse area. And first up, we've got Nicole Kraft from the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire. Take it away, Nicole.
Hi, Pat. Let's see. You see my screen, okay.
We see yeah, there you go. Display
Good.
settings.
All right,
Good to go.
All right. Okay, give me 1 second here. Hello, my name is Nicole Kraft. I work at the University of Wisconsin Eau Claire, and I am a research analyst in the Office of Institutional Research. For those of you who may not be familiar with the area, so Eau Claire is about an hour and a half east of the Twin Cities on I-94. And we are known as Wisconsin's most beautiful campus. So let's see from the pictures there. A little bit about myself. I am a reader. So my Goodreads challenge last year, I hit 156 books. My Kindle was everywhere with me. And you can see I have my 2 rescue dogs, my Pomeranian and Shepherd, who are very upset that they're shut out of my office right now. And then I've got a picture of our boat. So my husband and I both are avid fisher people, campers, and love to be out of the water. So that's what we do in our spare time. A little bit about our office. So I work in Office of Institutional Research, and this is an office that most campuses have. And our office is responsible for several things. And I primarily work in the reporting and analysis spot. I create the reports from the data that we collect and analyze. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what I use Tableau for in my role. The first thing I have here is our fact book. And so the University Fact Book is probably the biggest project that I took on when we first started using Tableau. That's really probably the primary reason we got Tableau, was to do something different with our fact book. Typically, this is like charts and tables and very boring, but I created the fact book, and it has information about our students. So it's enrollment information on new freshmen, all of our students, profiles of our colleges, degrees granted, retention and graduation rates, our high impact practices, and even our alumni. There's some information. So I do everything, just basic charts. I love doing maps, those types of things get me excited. Next, we have our EDI dashboard. This is our Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion dashboard, and this is something we recently just published and put out publicly. We have a big initiative on campus for EDI things, and so this is just a little snapshot. The URL is at the bottom here, so you can go to our webpage and look at all of these tabs that I have out there, but this is just a basic look at our breakdown of our students of color. We are, as you can see, kind of gaining a little bit in our percentage of students of color, which is our goal. We're trying to get to 20% students of color. And then on the bottom half, you can kind of see what the different race and ethnicities that we do have for this year. This is our, it's called stats dashboard, but we call it basically our points of pride dashboard. And this is kind of an odd use for Tableau, I think, but I think it works really great for this. So I had a phone call from one of our university relations people in our integrated marketing and communications office, our IMC office. And she asked me about data. She was calling or emailing and saying, hey, do you have the updated number of this yet? Do you have this? Where can I find this information? And so we ended up just having a little conversation. We met together with the other analyst in my office and came up and I created this spreadsheet, or just an Excel spreadsheet with the data points that she was looking for. Created a bunch of columns basically to give some more metadata here. And so now the IMC office or anybody on our campus, faculty, staff, students, have access to this dashboard, whether it's for a news media data point, or if the chancellor's writing a speech, anybody can come here and pull up the data point. So I do have it filtered so they can look at the statistic group. There's different groups out there, and then the individual pieces are also on the right-hand side there. But so for this one, this is about our students that are completing at least one high impact practice, I think it stands for. And so not only did we give them the 89.2%, we told them when this is last updated and when we can expect it to be updated, who to contact, who's responsible for updating this, and if this is a publicly available data point, where to go to find it. So that IMC person or myself, I'm responsible for this. Actually, I go in there when we get this data and I update your spreadsheet, which is shared between us. It runs this dashboard. So on top of just the statistic, I also give them, this is the data, like the sound bite, right? We tell them how to read this and how to understand the data. So our high impact practices, that data point that we share here is based off of our 2019-20 graduates. So of those students that graduated, almost 90% of them did a high impact practice at least once before they graduated. High impact practices are reported differently depending on who you ask or what the question may be. Some of them report like when the year that the HIP was done versus by the graduating year. And so this is like our official, and typically what we have is IR is like we're the official kind of definition of the words. There are other places on campus that define this differently, but we're kind of like we'll say we're the official word of that. So yeah, this is interesting. I would be remiss if I didn't share with you that we of course have done a Corona dashboard. We have a whole page that our IMC department created earlier in the year, and right before the school year began for us in September, I ended up creating this dashboard. So we have data from several different sources inside and outside campus, and so we have, this just shows our total percent versus our total positives compared to our total tests that we've given out. Students returned on 9/1, which is our first data plan here. By the 9th, we were starting our antigen testing. So students on campus who live in our residence halls were getting tested, I think, every other week. And so you'll see like there's groups of students every week. November 6th, UW system began the surge testing. So we not only were testing our on-campus residence hall students, we were able to test students that live off campus and then also our faculty and staff. So that began later in the year for us. And then also with that surge testing, we were also able to provide tests for community members. So they would go to a local high school and they would do the drive-through testing, and we would track that as well. That is not being reported on here, but let's see if I can show something that I think I think it was. So I suppose I'm not sharing this in the students will share. Am I seeing a different page now? Or no? No. Okay. All right. So sorry, I'll just explain to you what I'm trying to show you. So we have different pieces that are available. We have like this is basic. Here's the number of tests that we've done, and then to make them in there and they can filter in this. We also have like the show the percent positives. We have an overall table that shows every single day's testing. The number of tests taken, the number of tests that were positive, the overall percent, or cumulative stats. We also have a little section on the page that shows our quarantined and isolated students. This is residence hall data that's collected by our residence hall director, and he updates the data to me every day. We have a shared document that I have all this in, and so he updates that data. The moment I get this data in, this piece of this dashboard gets updated. We also collect data on our Barron County campus. So I'm not sure if anybody is familiar with the fact that in the system we have kind of absorbed some of the two-year campuses, and we got the Barron County campus, very small campus. They report data to us weekly. We don't expect daily result tests from them or reports from them. And the last piece is our Eau Claire City County Health Department data. And then what that shows is just the current, which is weekly. Weekly, they supply a report to us that shows us the number of students, the number of faculty and staff who are connected to UW Claire that have been tested positive in the community. And then we also have like an overall number since they began testing, who they're tracking that connect to UW Claire. See if, are we a driver of a spike in cases or not? And I'm happy to say that we are not. So let's see here. Another thing that I've used Tableau for, this is just a bunch of bar charts, I suppose, and some tables and some apps. This is a project that came from an assistant vice chancellor they were looking to add a bioinformatics major. We didn't have that on our campus, and trying to see if there was a need, demand, a use for that major. So I love pulling public data and try to join that with our data to see what we can come up with. So this first page here is basically our publicly available data on other campuses in the US, and looking at degrees that were granted in the last 5 years in this bioinformatics field. If you can see the numbers on here, but so it's bioinformatics is a zip code of 261103. And the zip code is a classification of instructional program. It's just a number that are used across institutions that kind of define a major. And so that bioinformatics, there's a couple different majors that are similar. So I brought those in as well. And then I'm able to connect that data to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics data. And so they have a SOC code, the standard occupational code, that aligns with our zip codes. And so a bioinformatics degree, for example, would align to 2 or 3 occupations, and so those would be tied in that regard. So we could look and see that, we have a lot of students that are interested in this. There's a demand. It's a good growth industry. More females are beginning to be interested in it. It's got a good salary, things like that. And it was really useful for them to be able to share this information with stakeholders on campus that were interested in hearing about this. So, lastly, this is our Nessie survey. And so Nessie is our National Survey of Student Engagement, and it's a nationwide survey. Universities across the U.S. Participate in the survey when they want, when they can. At the UW system, we participate in the survey once every 3 years, so we have the past 3 years data here. This is a completely new rebuild for me for survey data, something that I did differently. So we've got different breakouts here for the survey data. We ask the survey actually surveys just our first year and senior students. So the data is broken up. That's kind of how we're comparing things at the very base level at the top. Next thing, we look at those 2 first year and senior groups, and then we compare them within our peer groups. And we have 3 peer groups that we are comparing ourselves to there. And then at the bottom, the same thing, so very similar to the one right above there, but it's just looking at our mean score. Most of the questions are on a 4-point scale, so we're looking at the 1 to 4 range here. And if scale changes, this of course there's not very many questions that 5 connect. So overall, they can look at, there's like I think 100 and some questions in this survey. They are then themed. So this is the higher order learning strategies theme, and then that comes under the umbrella of the Aviation Indicated Academic Challenge. So there are multiple questions for each of these, and then the user can come in here and look at this dashboard and filter down to what they want. They can look at then different demographics and how different groups of students answer these questions. And then on the right, I was trying something different with trend, like a little barbell type thing. It works better when you're looking at 1 or 2 questions and you can have the scale kind of expand and you can see the difference between these. But something else I just tried. But I really like to put this over there. All right, so this last thing, I probably shouldn't share this data, but I'm going to show it. So the left-hand side here, I'm going to show this is a SAM. We call it SAM. It's a strategic accountability matrix. And this was a 38-column wide matrix that was kind of built several years ago. And the intention of this was that there were some additional monies that were going to be divided up by departments. And so depending on how well you were doing on certain areas, depending on how much money you would get for your department, so much additional money you would get for your department. So instead of having this ugly 38 column wide giant spreadsheet, I made a dashboard so you can look at this. This one is looking at it actually by just one of the metrics for all departments. You can see the expected value and where they're at. If they're meeting, they're gray. If they're red, if they're not meeting their expectation. I also have a screenshot with, or, a page that has just all the metrics together on one page. So if the department come in there and look to see what their whole overall look is on their department as well. And that's, I think, all I got for you. That's just those couple of things. And I know I'm sorry, I'm a fast talker. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Anything else? That's all I've got for you. Any questions, Pat?
That's awesome, Nicole. We're going to tackle questions after we've taken our tour, but pro tip for everyone, new feature in Zoom that you can upvote questions. So even if you're not out there typing in questions, jump out to the Q&A and take a look at questions that other people have asked and upvote the ones that are of interest to you, and we'll try and tackle those first. Awesome. So thanks much, Nicole. Next up, we're going to head south to La Crosse and visit Debbie Andre from Nesna Ventures. Take it away, Debbie.
All right. Hi, my name is Debbie Andre, and I'm the data analyst at a company called Nesna Ventures here in La Crosse, and I've been there since March of 2018. When I joined the company, they had absolutely no BI tools at all. So we began a search for the right tool and went live with Tableau in July of the same year. But I was very familiar with Tableau because I had been using it since about 2012 at a prior employer in the La Crosse area. So it helped us get really rolling a lot faster after we went live on Tableau. In my free time, I love hockey. So go Chicago Hawks, even though they're not doing very well this year. With my husband, we try and go to at least one game a year. Not sure we're going to make it this year or not, but we're going to try. I love my derpy little dog, and I call him my derpy little dog because he's got a really long tongue. So he can't get it in his mouth completely. So it's always just sticking out there. And then we have a new granddaughter. She's going to be 2 soon. We don't get to see her very much because she lives out of state. So we are very thankful for Skype. There we go. So Nesna Ventures is a private equity firm in La Crosse that was started in 2000. We currently have 5 main portfolio companies that we own. So we're all over the place. So we have Barachos, which some of you may know. We are a fast casual Mexican restaurant. We have a location in Onalaska or La Crosse, one up in Eau Claire and one in Sun Prairie. Very good food, so I recommend it highly. We have Kotobo, which is a manufacturer of composite bows for stringed instruments, and they're located in Winona, Minnesota. Scales, which sells and services weighing solutions and material handling products, and they're in West Salem, which is just to the east of La Crosse. They have a location in Chippewa Falls, and they also have a location down in Davenport, Iowa. We have Star Blends, which is a custom feed manufacturer, mainly for dairy farms, and they're in Sparta, and they have a mill up in Chippewa Falls as well. And then finally, we have a company called Venture Fuels, which is a distributor of gas and diesel products to convenience stores and gas stations. And they are co-located with our headquarters here in La Crosse. On this slide, the little years that are underneath each of those little company logos, that's the year we acquired them or created the company. So the scale has grown exponentially over the last few years. So it's been quite a fun time. We are fairly new to using analytics and data in our decision making. So we use all the tools that Tableau has. So we decided, and we use online to be able to schedule everything and publish to our users. So we went with online because of the size of our organization being so small. We did not want to have to deal with managing upgrades and going through all that. So we went with online. We currently have 3 creator licenses that are being used. Or actually, I should say we have 3 creator licenses. 1 is being used, and that's me. So 2 of our users just are there for admin and backup purposes. And then we have 70 viewers that are being used, and about 75% of them are really active. So we have some that are signed up and just don't actively use them. So we have projects set up for each of our portfolio companies. And then we have separate folders or projects for each of our shared services departments, which are the human resources, IT, marketing, and finance accounting. So far, as of yesterday, we have 131 workbooks that people are using, and they contain 529 different views or tabs and are fed by 364 data sources. So 2.5 years, I think we've moved along pretty quickly. And just as a, to note, those 364 data sources are built not just in Tableau Prep, but some are built from desktop. And they were all done by me because I'm the only one. So it's a lot of work to keep up with it all. And because we're such a diverse portfolio of different types of companies, we have multiple industries that we're serving and supporting. So most of our dashboards are built to specific usage. So some dashboards or some companies can create templates that then they can use for multiple companies or multiple departments. We can't do that as easily. So, when a request for analytics comes in and is reviewed, we have to determine, is it something that's already created and we just have to update a current dashboard, or do we have to start from scratch and create something new? So I do a lot of reviewing of dashboards created by other organizations. I look at Tableau Public. I also have joined and follow a lot of Tableau groups on Facebook, which gives me a lot of great ideas. Our shared services departments are just beginning their journey. We haven't done a whole lot of dashboards and reports for them yet, but I'm working on it. With the exception of finance and accounting, access to data is our biggest struggle. We have a lot of third-party software, and they tend to limit our access directly to the data, or it's just not easy to get our departments to buy into having to log into Tableau to view a dashboard when that third party has their own and they're already created. So it's a struggle, but I'm working through it to say, well, I can do more or I can make it more accessible to other people. So the next couple of slides, I do have a couple of dashboards that I want to show. And because we're a private equity firm, we're private, we're not publicly owned, we don't have public data like the universities. So I've done my best to anonymize and remove proprietary information. So they're really gonna look a little plain, but the dashboard style is kind of what I'm trying to show on here. So this is a dashboard that actually our executive board absolutely loves this, and they look at it every day and look at it all the time. So it's actually, it's a very basic full year look by every day of the month of a metric versus their daily target. So when they hover over any of those days, they actually get the real data. They see their, whatever metric it is versus their target. They can see the percentages. There are filters that are in there so they can see it by different locations. But what's funny is I don't look at a lot of, once I create it, I just let the users deal with it. I don't do a whole lot of scanning of them. But once I looked at this full view again, it was like, oh, it's pretty obvious where COVID hit. And it was pretty obvious where we started to come out of COVID from our companies to say, oh yeah, March 15th. Yep, that's where we hit. It was a really big time. We also have other types of dashboards that I wasn't able to show. So I have one I'm going to show next, but the other one that I want to talk about, we have a lot of weekly dashboards that do a lot of just here's what you did the week before as far as sales, margin versus targets, budget, prior year, that sort of thing. There's a few. So for our Barachos location, they're a little unique as with the restaurant, they get to see things daily. Since they really need to be able to switch gears more on a daily if things start to go south for them. But this next dashboard was a little bit more fun for me to create. It looks boring and a little plain, but once I explain what kind of goes behind it and what it is. So, and we're currently testing it with some of our users. So what they've been looking for is a way to help forecast where they think their sales are going to be at the end of the month versus their budget. You know, they're always asking, are we going to make budget? Are we going to make budget? So what we did was I took a 5-year historical look by day of sales and calculated a rate of percentage. So, you know, if you say, oh, by the 15th of the month, you're at 50% of your sales, then I take those rates and applied it to our actual sales and compared it to budget and forecast it out to say, oh, if you're at $1,000 and you're 50%, you should have 2,000 by the end of the month. And your budget is 4,000, you've got a problem. So they can use this as the month goes along to see which product groups, and this is actually by our product or customer groups. Then they can go into a whole nother tab that lists out every detail of the customers of what their buying pattern is. So you can say, oh, if this customer typically purchases every 20 days and it's been 25 days since they've ordered, that customer probably needs a phone call. So I've received some quite a good bit of positive feedback on this already, and it's only been 2 weeks since they've used it, of saying how much of a big difference it's already making in helping them focus their sales to their customers. So I'm hoping if it works out for them, we can roll it to more departments and more companies as it goes along. So that was fun to actually create. A lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. Looking forward to 2021, so as we're rolling through our year, we're really going to start to focus this year on data governance and stewardship. You know, it kind of seems like we should have done this first, but the difficult part is you don't know, being as they were so new to data and analytics, we didn't know what we didn't know. And what we found after rolling out some of the stuff and creating these dashboards is we have a really hard time with standardization and data prep. So I'm doing a lot of manual preparation in data, with the data in prep and desktop, and it's just getting a little difficult. So we're going to roll out some governance. We're going to actually call it stewardship. But some of our companies would love to use some more of the mapping programs and availability in Tableau, and we just can't do it. Their customer data is so messy and it's not standardized. I said, for those of us on the western part of Wisconsin will understand, I can't tell you the number of counted times I can count that they spelled Trempealeau County in the database. I think in one company, I had 12 different spelling iterations of that one county. And it's just, so it's like, oh God. So we got to work on that. I also want to learn more about how to use APIs and create APIs, as well as web data connectors. Our marketing group is really starting to drive some more growth in analytics, and they are constantly asking for information that comes from the web, Department of Economics and Census Bureau, and it's just really getting difficult to have to export to PDFs or Excel, or even if they don't, some of them don't even allow you to export it to Excel. So they end up having to recreate things for me, and it's getting kind of painful. So we also want to look at some embedded analytics. So we have some CRM systems. We also have an employee portal that we just started. So I want to be able to provide some analytics and some of our KPI metrics to some employees that don't have access to Tableau or need access to Tableau, but just want to keep an eye on metrics that they can help improve. We also want to think about maybe using the mobile app for Tableau. Some of our salespeople in the field, when they're using CRM, either embed those analytics in CRM or just give them the mobile app, which would be helpful as well. And I added my contact information on the bottom. So those of you in the western part of the state, I'd love to connect with you and find ways to connect up or create our own local TUG so we don't have to travel all the way to Milwaukee or Madison once all this visual or virtual world is done with. So that's all I have. So it's hard to share some of our stuff since it is so proprietary, but that's kind of what we're doing right now.
That was great. Thanks, Debbie. So you were at the conference?
Yes, I actually have been to 4 conferences in person, and then I did go to the conference-ish this last year, which was, it was different, but I miss all the pictures that I keep in my phone, so.
I hear you for sure. Yeah, I was looking forward to the calendar, and I don't see that that's on the calendar yet.
Yeah.
Whatever form that takes this year. But yeah, I appreciate the overview, and pretty interesting, all the diverse companies that you have. All right, next we're going to go across town to Viterbo University and visit Derek and Kira. Derek's going to kick things off for us.
Hi, everyone. So I work at Viterbo. Just briefly about me, I'm a research analyst. In my free time, I've taken up sewing since quarantining. I sew masks. I've sewed myself a couple of quilts as well. Thinking about starting another quilt project at some point soon. And I also am a bit of an outdoor enthusiast. So in the winter, I enjoy snowshoeing and hiking all times of the year. About Viterbo, we're a 4-year institution with a Catholic affiliation. About 40% of our undergraduate students are nursing. So our main usage of Tableau is kind of as a reporting tool, similar to other people. So we get periodic requests for things like enrollment numbers, graduation numbers, retention, student demographics, similar things to that. And what's great since we've been using Tableau is we've been able to refer a lot of people to just hop on to our private server and take a look at our Tableau dashboards. Saved us a lot of time, and it automatically updates, so that's one less problem for us to have to worry about. It also just helps us speed up data collection for just some federal reporting and internal reporting too. So I just wanted to briefly show you the enrollment dashboard that I've been working on. It's recently completed within the past, the end of last year. So up here, these red dots here, this kind of just shows you our enrollment trends for the past 10 years. As you can see, it's kind of been declining, which seems to be kind of a common theme in higher ed lately. And then down here, it's just a breakdown of continuing versus new students versus students who have actually dropped out of Viterbo and then come back in, started taking classes again. So the main goal of this dashboard was the registrar's office every year has to collect these numbers and put them out on the Viterbo website. So, our idea was just let's figure out what all the registrar's office has to do, and then let's just put it all on a dashboard. So hopefully that's one less thing for the registrar's office to worry about every term. So we've got a bunch of different tabs to address all the different things in there. So age group stuff, gender and race questions, or where people are from. That's a really common question we get asked. Where are students, where are they from? Where are we getting most of our students from? So you can see for us, we get a lot of Wisconsin students, Minnesota, and then a little bit lesser from Iowa, but so yeah, that's about it for the enrollment there. I can also show you really briefly just another, so for it to go off of enrollment, we also get questions every year. We have to do program review for our undergraduate and graduate programs. So this dashboard is to help with that process. so people can have something to look at for their programs. They have to do a write-up and they can just log on to the server, do some clicking, filter things down to see what they want, and then take screenshots or whatever and place that into their reports. So yeah, like here's just one thing that they'd want to look into, like for nursing. We got a lot of students there, so we can just briefly look at that. Then come in here, find their nursing program, and then you can see, oh well, nursing has, in this down here, nursing has far more students than any other program. So and they're, yeah, that's kind of the rank here. They're in the 100th percentile there because they have the most. And then here's just a 5-year aggregated enrollment trends for people to post into their reports. So I think that about does it for me. I think we can go to Kira and she can share the impressive work that she's been doing.
Okay. All right, hi everyone. My name is Kira Getchow. I didn't make a slide introducing myself, I'm sorry, but I am a business systems analyst in the IIT department here at Viterbo. Outside of work, I love music, I'm a cellist, and I like to spend time with my family and my puppies, there they are. So I've been at Viterbo for about a year. I came as a fresh college graduate last January. And yes, it's been as weird of a first year in higher ed as you would imagine. But a lot of what I've been doing recently is dealing with all of our COVID data. So are you seeing the right screen? Good, okay.
It's good.
Perfect. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we've used Tableau as part of our response to this pandemic. So, next slide. Okay, so how has COVID changed our data needs? So before, like Derek was talking about a little bit, our dashboards are mostly created for internal use for reporting within our system, and we mostly used data from our systems on enrollment and demographic stuff and things like that. And then all of a sudden, when this pandemic hit, we had a much higher demand for this data to be accessible to the public, which, parents really want to know what kind of environment they're sending their students into, which is totally fair. And then we've also found the need to combine, organize, and upkeep data in multiple formats from a lot of different sources. So we've got some student data from our own systems. We've got COVID data from the form database for students who have tested positive and filled out intake forms and stuff like that. And then we also have testing data from our clinic partners. So we're really fortunate to be right across the street from a clinic, and we have a contract with them that we're random testing a certain portion of our student population every week. But that means that we have data coming in from a lot of different places. And so we've been able to meet that need thanks to a lot of the different tools that Tableau offers. So we've definitely expanded our use of those tools recently. So I use Tableau Prep a lot in my work with our pandemic data, both to report to our senior leaders so that they can make decisions and to report to the public, but also I use it a lot on data that never even makes it to dashboards, which I'll talk about in a minute, for our random testing process. And then Tableau Public, we have started using to host our public COVID dashboards so that we can embed them on our websites and share with the public what we're doing. So here's a little example of one of the Tableau Prep flows that I run every day to keep our dashboards up to date, and just showing how many different places we're pulling data in from. So I start with data from our clinic partner on our random testing, and that comes in every day as an Excel spreadsheet. And then we have our forms database, which houses information about all of our students who have tested positive, all of our students in quarantine, and then vaccine records from that same database and student demographic data from our systems. So I've got a couple of these. I keep the quarantine data separate from the positive data just for my own sanity, but it's a lot of combining to do, and I'm able to do it really easily in Tableau Prep. I just set up the flow, update my spreadsheets from Mayo, and run this every morning. We also use it for random testing. Left only joins are my best friend for this, because we're able to start with our whole eligible population and then pull out all of these people who we're not testing. So for instance, we're not testing anybody who's tested positive in the last 90 days. We have a system where students can say like, hey, I'm getting tested every 2 weeks at work. Can I be exempt from this? And so I take those out. We're not testing employees because our protocols are a little bit different. And then we're not testing anybody who's been tested recently. So it goes on a little bit, but again, this never makes it into a dashboard. But I'm able to just run this, plop it into an Excel worksheet, take a random sample, and move on with my life. So it's been super helpful in combining data that we're pulling from our databases, that we're pulling from other databases, and that we're getting in spreadsheets. So for our external users, I have a public dashboard set up, and we're hosting that over on Tableau Public, and we have it embedded on our website. And so the way that we have the public dashboard set up, and I'll go to it in just a second, is it acts as sort of an overview, just a quick at a glance numbers, with the option to click in and learn more. And so if I can get out of full screen, there we go. About that. So this is our public dashboard. And so it's embedded, as you can see, right onto our website. And it's just a quick at a glance summary of some of our most important numbers. And then you can also click into any of them. Love it when things just reload, and it gets you into more detailed information. You can change your start date here. So right now what we're showing is just our just information from our spring semester, but yeah, we got an archived fall one as well that people can check out. So it's really improved our data transparency. I think parents really feel like they can trust that we're telling them what they need to know, and it's also taken a lot of questions out of the hands of people who are kind of too busy to answer those questions. So people are able to come here, answer their own questions. And then we've also been able to use the different layouts that Tableau offers to get a phone view, because probably most people are checking this on their phone. And so I set up a specific view. I've just got it showing here for my inspect, but it shows up differently so that the data is still really accessible to anybody who's coming in on a mobile phone, which is great. Oh, not from the beginning, sorry. But for our internal users, we are presenting the same data to senior leaders, and they're using it to make decisions about how many of our classes can be in person and the really important things like that. So I can't, show you the whole internal dashboard because there's a lot more stuff on that, but I wanted to sort of bring this little screenshot of just the very top of it. This is our fall semester archive, but looks about the same for spring. So I have these filters at the top. We identified pretty early on in our pandemic response process 5 risk groups that we really wanted to keep an eye on, because we knew that if we started to see a spike in one of these risk groups, it was likely it was going to blow up if we didn't catch it soon. So we've got our health sciences students, so nursing, dietetics, etc., our athletes, our performing arts students, our residential students, those who live in our on-campus residence, and then students who don't belong to any of those groups. And then we can also filter by residence hall and sport. And so I've got these buttons at the top that our internal users can use to filter the whole entire dashboard and check things out. So, we can catch really quickly if there's an outbreak on a particular sports team or something. And then I will show our public fall archive is actually in a pretty similar format to our internal dashboards. So I'll just show that instead of the approach that we used for the public dashboard, where we've got, the at a glance thing, we really have everything laid out here so that it's all right there for the decision makers. So I think that's all I've got. Tableau has been a huge part of our pandemic response, and we've been fortunate to be able to figure things out quickly and get data in the hands of people who need it.
That's phenomenal. Thanks, Kira and Derek. All right, let's tackle some questions here. It looks like a pretty active list. I know, looks like some of our panelists have already been out here answering questions. So if you want to click on the answered tab, you can check out some of their answers. And then I'll just start from the top of the list on the open questions. So first up is, do you have a plan to get inactive users more active? I think that might be headed toward you, Debbie.
I think so too. So yeah, we use Microsoft Teams for our collaboration tools. So we actually have a Tableau community that all our viewers are a part of. And I'm starting, so this year, as part of our growth into governance, and since Tableau came out with that data literacy training, we're rolling that out. So I'm trying to get them to use and get more familiar with Tableau by using our teams and communicating more with them. But I have a few users that'll never use it. It's really, they're set up because they get a subscription from a dashboard. And the only way to get them that subscription is to be a user. So one of it's our owner, and he's not technologically advanced in much at all. So it's just easier to send him the email and he looks at his numbers and he's good. So, but yeah, we're just trying to get the community at large to spur the rest of them along.
Good story. Common story, I think.
Yeah.
All right, next up is, how do you find a balance between too much information and not enough information? I'll open that up to anyone who wants to tackle it. Nicole, you want to tackle that one?
I think that's a struggle every time we're doing something. I think, you know, I think I tend to try to give too much, and then I have to try and scale back when I'm done. It's a difficult balance. It depends on your audience too, as to what you can provide them and what is useful to them, what they'll understand. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think it's different for every project that we work on, how, you know, what that balance is.
Kira, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I personally like a pretty clean look to my dashboards. I think the data is just easier to get if there's not a ton. So I maybe veer a little bit more towards at least spreading information out on the same dashboard. You can see that for our internal dashboard, it's one that you scroll through to get all of the information. So yeah, when in doubt, I usually break things out into multiple dashboards, but to each their own.
Perfect. All right, next up, I like Debbie's calendar target dashboard. How was the frame of the calendar generated?
Yeah, that one, and I'll have to look. So each of those columns of the 3 months was a separate dashboard that just got linked together until, you know, it's basically 3 different views for every quarter. And I'm trying to remember, I found it online somewhere. I don't think it was in Tableau Public, but I've used it for over a year, so I don't remember exactly where I got it from. But yeah, it was, I think it was a general heat map that was by day and week, and there was a few formulas, but if you grab my email address and shoot me a note, I can send you back my instructions on where I got it from, but I don't remember exactly whose it was that I grabbed it from, but it wasn't as complicated as it looks. I remember that, but.
Sweet. If you don't mind, would you drop your email in the chat?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, next one. I think this is headed toward you, Nicole. Can you tell us more about the PDF feature?
Yeah, so the PDF feature, that's actually a new feature in Tableau. I don't know what I'm in, 2019 or 20, I don't know what version I'm in, but it's actually just an image button that you throw on your viz. And what I did was I went out to Google Images and I got a bunch of different PDF images and I saved them into my folder. And depending on the viz that I have some that, I've got the red Adobe one, I've got a blue one. It's really been helpful because I think in higher ed, we have a really difficult time with people still want reports. They still want handheld reports. They don't want to look at a dashboard yet. We're getting there, but there's still people that do want that handout. So this then allows them to get the view to what they want, and then they can print it to a PDF. We're using, I'm using Tableau a lot more in creating some reports for faculty. So we do program review. So each department goes through program review every certain number of years, and they have a bunch of different metrics. So what I've done is I've actually created a worksheet for them. They punch in their department, all their metrics come up, and then they can make some changes on there, and then they can print it to PDF. So I'm really excited about the PDF thing, and I'm actually going back into projects that I've done. I'm adding these buttons now that I didn't have before. So yeah, it's a, if you go to, where you add like a text or you add a container or an image, it's in that box, and you'll see, I think it says export or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's there and it's really easy to use.
Great. Yeah, some things like a handout report are hard to get away from sometimes. Kira, I see you're busy typing an answer to this question, but I'll open it up live here as well. As someone who has not used Tableau Prep, does anyone have an opinion or insight on when to use Tableau Prep versus doing all the work in SQL?
Yeah, so I started typing an answer there and then I figured we'd get to it. I personally really like using Tableau Prep, especially for pulling together data from multiple sources. So if you're able to hook up your SQL databases and do it all that way, that's totally fine. But like for this COVID stuff, we're getting just Excel spreadsheets from the clinic, and Tableau Prep is the best tool that I found for doing that. Also, those left-only joins, like I said, are kind of a pain to do in SQL and really easy to do in Tableau. So I do a lot of the grunt work of like filtering out things that I don't need in SQL and like just getting myself the actual data set that I want. And then I use Tableau Prep mostly for the combination, but some cleaning there as well. So.
Awesome. Debbie, I see you nodding your
Yeah.
head.
Yeah, I use Tableau Prep a lot. So with all our portfolio companies, it's all in SQL Server, but each of the companies is a completely separate database. So like if I need to do a combined AR report, I have to combine all 5 databases together. So I use Prep to connect 5 different times and then union them all together because the tables are exactly the same. But yeah, so Prep is about the only place I can do that in.
Nicole, do you use Prep? You're on mute.
Yep. Sorry, I did when it first came out. I was like really gung-ho about it because we did not have a tool like that on campus to work with. We were using Hyperion, which was going away, and so we were kind of in limbo with the product. And the product that was being purchased wasn't going to do the things we needed it to do. So I did play with the Prep feature a lot. I did a lot of really, I think, difficult work. I worked with some high school data where I brought in like Department of Public Instruction data and joined it with our data. And it was a huge process, and Prep really worked well for that. I agree. I think it's really simple because it's so visual. You can see what you're doing. You can see right away if you're, how many rows you have if you've made a join wrong or something. It's helpful. Honestly, I don't use it anymore. We've got a different product on campus now, but it is useful. If that's an option, it's great.
Nice. Next one, I think we'll do a round robin with this one as well. How do you test your dashboards with your users? Debbie, you want to start with that one?
Sure. So we actually have a special project online called the Sandbox. So after it's requested and it's ready for a user to review and look at the data in the dashboard, I put it there, and then just give whoever's going to own the dashboard or look at it, who requested it, they get access and only they get access. And then they have to, validate, make sure all the data is as they expected, and make sure that the format, make sure I didn't spell anything wrong, or, that the tooltips give them the extra data that they need, or, and then they report back and then we go live with it, move it to their production folder.
Awesome. Kira, you're publishing a lot of COVID data. How do you make sure it's correct?
Yeah, we have, I would say, a pretty similar process. We've got a development folder that anytime I'm making changes, we'll pop the updated one in there and ask, whoever needs to look at it to confirm that everything looks good. And yeah.
Nicole, how about you? Do you have a similar process?
No, not really. When we first started using Tableau, when I was creating things, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I did like grab some people from around different offices and campus and share things with them and ask their feedback. I kind of don't do that anymore. I don't know why, but as for like making sure things are accurate, we actually have students that work in our office and that's their primary job is to do our data verification. So they go and they double check our data sources are correct, our tooltips are right, I have the same font everywhere across the whole dashboard, whatever, color choices I made, spacing issues, they do like really dig deep because after a while you just get blind to what you've been working on for a while. So yeah, project-wise, I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that if we have new projects that are coming across, they pretty much go to like our dean's meetings or to our chair's meetings, and then we get feedback from them in that regard. But I think I've kind of got a style with how I present things, like Backbook. I think I'm trying to stick with that, and I think most of it's working well. And I haven't had a lot of questions or asking to explain things more. Sometimes I do, but typically I think it's been pretty quiet. And I guess maybe I need to look into doing that more often. I don't know.
All good, all good. All right, we've got time for, I think, one more question. As a creator, how does anyone else handle requests for new dashboard creation? Do you have a centralized process or analytics team that reviews and approves requests? What's the best practice? Start off with you again, Debbie.
Oh, sure. We actually go through a sprint process. So every 2 weeks, our leaders in the shared service departments meet with each leader from the portfolio companies and get the requests from everybody for every shared service department. So if they want something new or a revision to a current dashboard, it goes through that and it gets put onto my log. I estimate the time it's going to take for me to get it done in the next 2-week time period. And if I have to break things down into smaller chunks, I do that. But we just use that and it seems to work pretty well.
Nice. Kira?
I've only been at Viterbo for a year, so as far as how like a normal dashboard development goes, honestly, I'm not super sure because I came here and the COVID hit. But if Derek is on, he might have a little bit better idea of how that usually goes down.
Yeah, so with new dashboards, prior to COVID, we were working on getting more of a data governance group going, kind of like I think Debbie, you were talking about. Just with COVID, I think that's kind of taken a back seat. So for the most part, we have a Tableau users group at Viterbo, and for the most part, people will maybe mention to one of the people at the group what they might like to see for a dashboard, or and then it kind of gets brought up to the group, and we try to decide within the group what needs to take priority, what we can get done. So sort of that way. But yeah, that's kind of how we do it right now.
Perfect. Nicole, how do you do it in Eau Claire?
Good question. So typically a request for a dashboard would come from a dean or a chair, so that would go through my director. And we have a new director, so he is kind of questioning what we're doing and why we're doing it. And so, which has really been helpful. So I did like a spreadsheet of all the dashboards that I have published and what they contain, those types of things, so you can see it's like, why are we're doing this like 3 different times. So he's really helping us, I think, kind of do a little pushback and say, we've already got something like that out here, and this will probably do what you're looking for it to do. That's just, I guess I would say it's our director's decision as to what we do going forward. If there's an administrator who says we would like this, we probably are going to do that. So we don't get a lot of new dashboard requests. We usually kind of create the dashboard ourselves because of other things that have come up, right? Most people don't ask us to build a dashboard for them. They'll ask about data, and then we create something. And this is, this is how we'll answer your question.
Nice. Well, that's a wonderful conversation. I appreciate all the questions and all the wonderful answers from the panelists. Panelists, if you don't mind checking out the Q&A, we're out of time for Q&A, but if you want to keep answering questions out there, I'm sure people will appreciate that. All right, that's our tour of Wisconsin for today. If any of you want to participate in this in the future, just reach out and raise your hand, and we'll maybe do this another time. Back to you, Brandy.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we are moving on to the last few minutes of our meeting here. So we have about 15 minutes or so to get through the remaining awesome content. So first of all, those were great questions. Thank you for everybody who asked them, for our panelists for answering them. Don't forget to stick around to find out who won the swag that we're giving away. But in addition, we also just kind of wanted to take the moment at the top of the year to talk about the various Tableau user groups, to maybe address some of the things that we're planning on, and just give you an overview if you're new to Tableau user groups, which we shorten to TUG. We just kind of want to go through them. So there we go. Okay. So for those who are like super fans of Tableau user groups in the area, you probably know that we have 3 variations. So I think originally there was like the Madison group, like maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that, been around for a while. 6 years ago or so, the Milwaukee user group was founded. And then last year, no, 2019, the Wisconsin user group was founded. And the Wisconsin Tableau user group has always been virtual, and it always will be virtual. So we actually created it because we knew that there were these pockets of users in places like La Crosse and Janesville and Green Bay and Racine and Kenosha that, didn't have their own in-person user group. And so we wanted to get just the broader Wisconsin group together. So we have these 3 different groups, especially in a virtual environment like 2020 was, and we'll see how long this continues to go on for 2021. These groups kind of operated independently, but we felt, given that we were all virtual, it probably made sense to coordinate a little bit more across the various groups. So each group has like quarterly meetings regularly, but we decided to, like I said, coordinate and stagger them. So instead of, potentially having, a Milwaukee meeting on a Wednesday and a Madison meeting on a Thursday, we are now, each group is kind of taking an individual month. So, so if you're super into Tableau, you can certainly join each meeting every month and have like a year full of Tableau. So hopefully that makes sense. The idea though is that at some point when it's safe to be back in person, we expect that the Milwaukee and Madison groups will then go back to meeting in person. Not really sure how long that will be, but so for now they will continue to be virtual, but at some point I expect those 2 groups to be back in person. The Wisconsin group will always continue to be virtual. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, some of the topics that we have planned for the year. So we get together as leadership teams and we brainstorm some ideas. So I guess, first of all, we're always open to hearing from you about ideas, like things that you care about, you want to hear, things that maybe you want to present on. Definitely contact us and let us know. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some contact information for our various groups in the chat. So the 2 main groups, Madison and Milwaukee, there's different ways to contact us. And so all of that's in the chat. What's kind of interesting about the Wisconsin events is that they will be listed both on the Madison page and the Milwaukee page. So hopefully I'm sorry about the confusion. It confuses me, but either way, you can find the Wisconsin events on either page, but then the individual events will be separate. So you kind of have to go to 2 places if you want to register for like 12 months worth of stuff. So, but check that out. Some of the topics though, that we have coming up, I think the next meeting we have is the February meeting. That is for Milwaukee. we are focusing on visualization. So we're going to show some like beginner visualizations, some like intermediate visualization types, and advanced visualization types. So that will be in February. I believe the April meeting for Wisconsin, I think we landed on like advanced analytics. So if you're familiar with Tableau, there are, or maybe, did we say advanced analytics? Maybe I'm confusing myself, but either way, when I think of advanced analytics, I think of like that analytics pane in Tableau desktop where you can show like trend lines and forecasts and clustering and all of that kind of like really nerdy, like into data science stuff. So we're gonna showcase that, but those are really easy ways to kind of get started and take your visualizations to the next level. So, and then who doesn't love tips and tricks? We've got some of that planned throughout the year. And I don't know about you, so I've been using Tableau for like way too long. I always learn something from tips and tricks. So I'm always a huge fan of them. But we do have a pretty awesome roadmap laid out for the year. So register and we hope to see you there. One of the things, I guess the next thing that we want to chat quickly about is this. Well, actually, I'm going to turn it over to Patrick to talk about this. Sorry, this is his slide.
All good. So I just dropped the URL in the chat. So if everyone wants to click on that, this is going to be an active exercise here. We're going to do a quick skills quiz, which don't stress out over it. If you haven't heard about this from or seen mention of it from Tableau, it's just a way for Tableau to help you engage and assess your day job, basically, and what learning track is the most appropriate for you. So it's just going to take 3 to 5 minutes. Please jump out there and crank through the questions as we're meeting here. And on the plus side, there's a competition among TUGs worldwide. So Tijuana's leading right now. So hopefully we can gain some ground on them, at least here in the next few minutes. But the competition among the TUGs is the TUG that gets the best participation in this 3 to 5 minute quiz. The Chief Product Officer from Tableau, Francois, is going to join their next user group event. Which would be really fun to have Francois here and be able to, and it's not just a presentation, it's Q&A. So you can grill them with your toughest Tableau question or roadmap question, or express your individual interest in new features. That's your opportunity to literally bring it to the top. So hopefully everyone's getting their quiz out here. I know I just took the quiz, and so it gave me two suggestions. One was server architect and one was server admin. Because as far as Tableau work goes, that's where my focal point is versus building dashboards. Brandy, what did you get?
I feel like, so I've taken this quiz like probably too many times, and I think it depends on my mood on the day, on like what role I end up getting. I think the last time I took it, I got executive sponsor, which made me feel like extremely important, and data scientist. So, but there have been times where I'm also, I feel like I wear a lot of hats. I feel like probably like a lot of you, but I have also gotten like the Tableau admin stuff. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool and it's helpful. Like I have gone in there and done some of the e-learning courses, and Tableau has just done a fantastic job, like laying out all sorts of like helpful information. But what I found is that like it's overwhelming. There's like almost so much to learn that you're not sure where to start. I found that the quiz really helped me like have a direction and a focus, so I wasn't all like, you know, all over the place. But yeah, I'd love to hear too what everybody else got if you want to throw it in the chat.
Yeah, it's amazing how the Tableau platform has grown from its start as a desktop tool to what it is today. It is a little overwhelming for one person to keep track of it all.
John said that his company blocked the link. That's a bummer.
Okay, let me see if I can grab another version of the link here. So
Oh, mine
Brandy, did you?
too. Tammy's using her phone. Good job, Tammy. Persistence.
There we go.
Yeah.
So Brandy, did you get a pay raise out of that executive sponsor suggestion?
Not quite, not yet. No. Maybe once I complete the courses though.
Oh, there you go.
No, but I think, one of the things that Debbie, I think it was Debbie pointed out, like, some of the things that she's thinking about and that, what she's doing to take her organization to the next level. I kind of do similar, I think about things similarly. So, I think that's probably why I got that particular role is some of the same things that Debbie was talking about, like adoption, right? Like, how do you get people to lean into using these dashboards and using your reports? And I think part of that goes back to executive sponsorship and culture and, all of that stuff. The revised link worked. Okay, great. Great. Good job.
Sorry,
Oh.
I don't know what revised limited is the author of.
Alexa thought I was talking to her, so that's fun. But I'm glad that it's working.
All right, Chad got executive sponsor as well.
All right, Chad, you and me, let's executive sponsor it out.
And data scientist, that's another good one.
Nice, yeah.
A few designers.
Cool. Well, thank you all for taking the quiz. This is awesome. We got to
Holy
win.
smokes.
I'm super competitive. So if you guys don't make it happen, I may just have to write a Python script to every day. I'm just kidding. But no, this is fantastic.
Yeah, you can only do it once to get
Okay.
counted toward the TUG. But I don't know what they use, if it's the email address probably that you enter. So
Yeah.
if everyone wants to take it again using their personal email address, go for it.
Oh,
We just get some bots going. I mean, what do we got at stake here? What are we playing for? I'm game.
An appearance by Francois at our next TUG
Oh
event.
yeah. See?
it'll be super exciting. So, well, thank you everybody for taking the quiz. If you're still working on it, finish it. But we only have a few minutes left, so I'm going to go on to the next kind of component. So we thought it would be fun to give it a try. Certification, if you haven't gotten Tableau certified, there are many reasons to do it or to even not do it, but getting certified is relatively simple. And Tableau has actually started coming up with newer, entry level even certification programs. And so there's one called Desktop Specialist. And it's just, I found certifications to be a good way to test my skills. I've been using Tableau for a long time. And I got certified a few years ago. And by going through the study process, it actually helped fill in the gaps for me, things that, I don't use a lot of. And so it helped me to do that. And so I just thought in this meeting, we'd do a quick poll to just get a sense of your guys' understanding and a quick quiz. I mean, who doesn't love that? So it looks like Patrick just started the poll. So this one is done in Zoom. So sorry for all of the different polling technologies, but you guys are just going to become wizards at all of it. So in the poll that popped up on your screen in Zoom, you can answer the questions.
So multiple choice, my strategy usually is to eliminate the answers that I'm pretty confident that are wrong. So on this one, since we're talking about joining tables together, I would start by eliminating a calculation because that's just executing code on fields for the existing rows coming into the calculation. Likewise, hierarchy is probably not the right one. How do you narrow it down from there, Brandy?
I mean, so I feel like, sorry, I was typing something, so I missed what you already went through. You eliminated calculation
And
and
hierarchy.
hierarchy. So, I mean, a blend, I think the thing there is that it's like 2 data sources. So, and this one kind of talks about having it all in one data source. So I feel like join it is. Although sometimes the word blending is used like in like a general term, like I'm blending these 2 data sources together, which usually is done with like a join before it get, you know, so, but in Tableau language, a blend is where you have 2 separate data sources that you're like connecting kind of like on the fly with like shared fields, which the data sources are still separate. So it could just be a terminology thing, but Tableau land, a join is the correct answer. So next question. Did you want to tee it up, Patrick?
Sure, absolutely. So we're down to a true false, so our chances of getting it right are improved. So here we've got Tableau can create worksheet specific filters, and based on the responses in the poll, this was a little bit too easy. Everybody went for true.
And that's correct. I mean, everybody's an expert basically, so.
Yeah,
Well
you guys
done.
are ready to take the test.
Right?
Unfortunately, this is not an official poll, so we can't give you a certification from it, but
Right.
it'll
But
give
it
you
shows
confidence.
the, you know, yeah, exactly. It shows the types of questions that are asked and relatively, you know, I think as you use Tableau, you're going to just get, you know, more and more prepared to answer the question. So, all right.
So this one's taken it up a notch, talking about box plots, if everyone's familiar with those. So what does the box in a box plot represent? A, maximum extent of the data. B, the range of the middle half of the data points. C, the median of the middle half of the data points. Or D, outliers of the data. So a box plot illustrates the distribution of the data, and box highlights the data in the middle. So that narrows it down to answers B and C, and then the box covers a range of the data, so it's not just the median. So then I think we can settle on B, which most of the people opted for in the poll.
Great. Well done, everybody. That's exactly right. It's that one's tough if you're not familiar with box plots, but
Agree.
But good job, everybody. That is fantastic. I think just to wrap things up, we're going to announce the giveaway, the winners of our two winners of our giveaway, which each person's going to win a $50 gift certificate to Tableau's swag store, so you can get books or shirts or whatever. So in just a second, Josh is going to announce those winners, but I did just want to plug our Slack group. If you've enjoyed this conversation, if you want to keep in touch, if the lacrosse people all want to get together and chat Tableau, we do have a Slack workspace. It's for all Wisconsin Tableau folks. There's a link to join, so you can sign up and join Slack using the first link, and then going forward, you can use it, witug.slack.com, and just you can create your own channels and you can talk directly with people and just continue the conversation. So with that, we hope to see you, going forward. But Josh, why don't you announce the winners of the 2 people who won the giveaway?
All right. So we had a little bit of a different thing here. So just hold on one second. I am getting the last one.
We are randomly selecting them from everybody who asked questions, by the way.
Yep. And and the way it is, so there are questions that are answered and there are questions that are open. So what I did is, since we have 2, we're going to pick one from each bucket. So obviously the odds are a little not in the favor of the answer section, but hey, you got your question answered, so that's good. So the winners are, so we have Sarah Carr, and we have Michelle Sturm. Sorry.
Awesome. Well,
So
congratulations.
congratulations to you. We will. So Brandy will follow up with you on how to basically receive your gift cards, and then so look out for an email from her, and we'll just confirm like before we all shut down that we have the actual email addresses for these users. But I'm pretty sure the back.
If you have to be registered to win, so
Yep.
as long as you're registered, we have your email, and I'll reach out to you.
Yep.
But with that, thank you guys so much for attending the first quarter Wisconsin Tableau user group meeting. Keep in touch with us, Slack, email, LinkedIn, Twitter, like whatever, we'll be there. Reach out, let us know what topics you want to hear about. We'd love to see you at future meetings.
Yeah, this was great fun today. And as you exit the webinar, you'll be prompted to take a quick survey about how things went today. Please take a second and let us know. Drop any thoughts you have in there about what you want to see in the future meetings, or if you want to participate as a panelist or in any other role. Much appreciated. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone.